If you're looking for an extreme watch, we've got one for you here. SwissWatchExpo, fresh from the showcase. This might be one of the most extreme watches we've ever reviewed here, SwissWatchExpo, fresh from the showcase. This is the Panerai depth gauge. It's a titanium watch that just makes everything else, it just blows everything else out of the water. So when you look at this watch, it is a titanium case. Even though it's a 47 millimeter case, it really, the weight on it, it feels about like a 44 millimeter Luminor. But this watch has just got everything else going for it. I mean, if you're someone like The Rock or Shaq or somebody like that, this is going to be the right watch for you. You can see it's really thick. So even though it's only a 47 millimeter case, it's almost 23 millimeters thick. And a lot of that is this case bag that is just really domed. So you can see the brushed titanium case. It keeps the shape of the 1950 Luminor, but the dial and the entire execution of the rest of it is just sort of out there even for Panerai, because when you look at it even side-by-side comparison to my Luminor, you can see it's just a world of difference in thickness and in overall scale. This is a watch that definitely will attract a lot of attention, and it's definitely going to start some conversations when you wear this one. But the interesting aspects to it, of course, you have the Panerai trademarked crown protection system here with the lever that holds the crown in. So this was their answer to Rolex's screw down crown. They felt like with a lot of diving that if you were screwing the crown in and out, you would wear out that tube and crown. So they came up with this system to make sure that it's fully engaged and fully watertight. It also would be difficult to accidentally leave this lever open and not realize that you weren't watertight. So it makes it real obvious that when you're good to go and when you're not. The bezel itself, it has sort of 3D bumps here, sort of like the stations on a Breitling. You can really feel it. I'm sure it would be easy to use with a gloved hand. And it's a little bit of a stiff bezel that I don't think you'd accidentally knock it. But this is what Panerai is talking about when they say that this watch includes a immersion time calculator. It's a fancy word for the rotating bezel. Of course, you'd just line up the pip here with your minute hand, and that would tell you how many minutes you had been under. The dial itself is sort of crazy. It's a black dial, and if you notice, at the bottom it says T Swiss made T. So it actually is a tritium dial, which I know we don't see a lot of in 2021. This watch was made in 2012. It's mint condition, comes with the full box and papers and everything, the strap changing tool, everything you see in the listing. But this dial, it's really going to glow. And so you'll have real high legibility for it, even underwater in deep depths. The way the movement works is just ingenious. It's such an interesting aspect to it. And you can see there's a couple of different colors here in the lume on the dial. It's easy to read what time it is, the primary function, but Panerai actually characterizes this watch not as a watch, but as a special instrument. So that tells you it's sort of a scientific instrument of sorts. It's a sporting instrument. And the way the depth calculator works is you push this button, and when you push it, it will show you what your most recent deepest depth you went to was. So when you come back up, you can push it and get the reading. When you hold it down for 6 seconds, it will reset back to 0. And then as you're diving, it will show you how deep you're going. Now, it maxes out at 120 meters. Not necessarily that the watch maxes out at 120, but because Panerai said that's the maximum depth for sport diving, for casual scuba diving, not people going down in saturation in a diving bell, that sort of thing. Now, you saw how smooth that was, and you might be thinking to yourself, how in the world did they do that with a mechanical watch? Well, I'll tell you, this watch, it's like it has two separate components within the same case. That's probably part of why it's 23 millimeters thick. But it has a mechanical movement that's based on a Valjoux 7750, so it's bulletproof and absolutely reliable for keeping the time. And then it has a separate module that runs on a lithium battery. And so that's the part that's the depth gauge. Now there's two different certifications of this watch, which is really unusual. You have a COSC chronometer certificate for the movement, and then there's also a META certificate, the same company that Omega uses for their Master Chronometer series, and they have certified the depth gauge part of it. So two separate things. It will beep and let you know when there's the battery's running low and you need to replace that, so you wouldn't start your dive with a bad battery. But I would be really curious if anybody can comment in the comments and find out if you've actually used this, if you have used it to see your depth of how far down you went and how long you stayed. It's a really cool diving calculator on your wrist that's, to me, one of the most interesting watches that we've ever had. If you wear it, you can see, even though it's super thick, I mean, you know, I don't have the biggest wrists, and it still looks, I think, acceptable on me, which means that if you had a bigger wrist, if you had a 7.5, 8-inch wrist, it would probably look really good on you, and it definitely would be something unusual. The whole thing's titanium, like I said. It's still pretty heavy, so there's a lot of movement in there, but it does have the standard Panerai tang buckle and the rubber strap. So it does have the strap changing tool. If you're already collecting Panerai straps and you're into that creativity that the Paneristi have with their straps, you can use the straps you've already got to move them right over to this one. So I'd love to hear if someone has used it as a diving calculator, but click the bell, like and subscribe. Let us know what you think about this watch and if you'd wear it every day here at Swiss Watch Expo, fresh from the showcase.